Welcome to another episode of OG55. I got the Italiano with me today. We are talking about why Disney is so hesitant to bring certain IP to the States. We've seen it over and over again. You know, the Renaissance era has been largely forgotten out here in Disneyland and Walt Disney World, but the international parks seem to be embracing that Renaissance era with open arms. What is going on here? We're going to talk about it up next on OG55. Let's get it. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. I got the Italiano with me today. Mr. Italiano, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm doing good. It's been a while. We haven't done these in like forever.
Yeah. It's been like 15 or 20 minutes at least.
Yeah.
If you could let everybody home know where they could find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my own base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Sticky. Okay, let's dive into our topic. George, this was your idea, this topic. So go ahead and set the table, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Absolutely. So over the years, I've started to see a pattern with Disney and WDI kind of with their decision making on what projects get greenlit for the parks. Now, one can argue to say, okay, well, Disneyland and Walt Disney World, those are the only parks that, WDI should be focusing on. And that's not true. There's many different parks internationally around the world that do deserve a lot of TLC and a lot of the strong hitting IPs. Especially with Disneyland Paris, we're starting to see the transformation of the Walt Disney Studios park, Paris's second theme park that's to become World Adventure, I believe it is. I can never remember if it's World Adventure or Adventure World, but I think it's World Adventure. I think I'll have to look at that, folks. But in any case, and that's actually a good starting line to this conversation, is that during D23, that the start of what the Walt Disney Studios park was supposed to get was an expansion of Arendelle, which is the world of Frozen, which is already in
Hong Kong.
And I do believe it's also going into and it's in Tokyo. I'm sorry, for Fantasy Springs. So again, with the phenomenon of Frozen, I'm surprised that Disneyland or Walt Disney World didn't get anything of Frozen. Now, we do have Frozen Forever After in Epcot, but it's a single-based attraction. Right. And that's completely different than having like an immersive land based off of this popular IP. So anyway, and then also the Studios Park is getting Marvel, and they were supposed to get kind of a Galaxy's Edge light, so to speak. Well, they decided to not go with Star Wars. And what are they getting? They're getting The Lion King. And The Lion King is one of the highest, not just a highest rating animated movie, but just a highest rating movie of all time. It was one of the top heavy hitters of the Disney Renaissance era. And I guess it just comes down to it for me to kind of sum all this up in a nice little gift basket with a big red bow on it. Why is it that it takes Disney so long to make a decision on putting popular IP that they already know is going to be very popular into the domestic parks? It's like it's taken us so long, to get Monsters Inc. or now we're getting the Villains. But it just seems like with the international parks, now nothing against the international parks. Eventually, I do want to visit them in time, part of my bucket list. But it's just like it just it's so easy for them to say, yeah, let's put the Lion King here and Beauty and the Beast here and Frozen here. And it's like, and even with Coco, I felt like that was a missed opportunity because yes, I can't wait to see and experience that beautiful uh boat ride, through Coco. But again, it's a missed opportunity that they could. Now they still might. They didn't say yes or no, but we could have got an immersive Coco land, sort of like how your example, OG, like have like a Mexican village, with the food and the culture and
Right.
and everything. It's like what does it take for Disney to kind of wake up and realize that us Disney fans want all this popular IP in the domestic parks too?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is one of the biggest turning points in the Walt Disney Company, right, was the Little Mermaid, because this was really the sink or swim moment, no pun intended. The sink or swim moment for Disney Animation. They were working out of bungalows when they animated the Little Mermaid. Disney Animation was not doing well. People talk about Disney Animation nowadays. Believe me, today's situation with Disney Animation is nothing compared to how bad it was, how rock bottom it was at the middle to the end of the 80s. Okay, it was really bad. But Little Mermaid saved the company. It really did. That movie propelled Disney Animation into that Renaissance era. You know what I'm saying? And it really changed the trajectory of the entire company. Not to mention, it was Disney legend Howard Ashman's first piece of work at Disney. So there's Little Mermaid for me holds a lot of value, a lot of special sentiment. I'm very sentimental towards that movie for a lot of reasons. It saved essentially the company that I love dearly. I'm a huge Howard Ashman fan. I just love the fucking movie too. It's awesome, and the music and everything. It's amazing. So there's that movie, right? which had such a huge impact on Disney overall, and it takes you. I don't know. The movie came out in 1989, and it took you until 2011 to have a Little Mermaid dark ride at Disneyland Resort. It took you that long? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's crazy to me. Now, it's not just big bad Bob Iger, because Michael Eisner, who was responsible for the Renaissance era, didn't do any of it either. We didn't get a Lion King ride at Disneyland in that era. We didn't get an Aladdin ride, anything cool like that. We had parades. Yeah, that's great. We had shows. Awesome. We never got any like permanent investment though, and they're still hesitant about it. I don't know why. It's weird.
And it seems like the Renaissance era. Now, again, I'm not, doubting the golden age era with Walt Disney's animated. Those are classics. You have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You have Pinocchio. You have Fantasia. You have, all the greats. But the Renaissance era, I feel, still to this day kind of contributes to not just the success of the company, but also to the connection to people. Like even the newer generation, will lean more towards Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid. So it's like, why? Again, yeah, it just begs the question: why does it take so long, or why does it even take where we may not even get nothing at all? It's like The Lion King, perfect golden opportunity to put something in Animal Kingdom.
Well, and here's the other thing too. I can kind of understand if it's like of a cultural thing. For example, like here in America, the Aristocats aren't exactly a hot IP, right? But in Japan, they are. Like the little Marie cat, the white one with the little pink, it's huge in Japan. Absolutely huge in Japan. So I can understand things like that, where it's like, okay, an IP doesn't really resonate with Americans that much, so we don't get a lot of set IP. But say overseas, it resonates, so they get a lot of it. But that's not the case with majority of this stuff, like Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mermaid. These are mega franchises. The entire Disney live action slate is based on mooching off of these movies. I mean, Beauty and the Beast live action didn't make $1 billion because people in America don't like Beauty and the Beast. Lion King didn't make $1 billion because they didn't like this. This era is so popular. And not only did they do it once with the animation, they did it twice with the live action. And how many more examples do you need, Disney, before you actually give us something of this era, like a serious investment of this era, you know?
Exactly. And yes, one can argue, like, for the Beauty and the Beast era with the Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast, that's at Tokyo Disneyland. You know, it was provided, you know, funding through OLC. That is correct. Disney, the Oriental Land Company, paid to have what they wanted, but it was still Disney. It's still a Disney intellectual property. It's still coming from Walt Disney Imagineering.
Right.
It's why can't we get the funds for Walt Disney Imagineering, or for the better of, we are getting $60 billion investment. We already got the first 5 year of investment at this D23 Ultimate Fan event. So what is to become of the next 5 years? And it's like, yes, we still have like newer kind of IP that we have to give a chance. You know, it may become very popular, but let's focus on also what we have and what they can utilize. They have a slate, a beautiful library of films and characters that they're not utilizing. It's like Shanghai got Zootopia. It's like Tokyo got actually 3. They got Frozen, Tangled, and Peter Pan.
And a Beauty and the Beast dark ride.
Yeah, and a Beauty and the Beast dark ride.
You know, and they have Mermaid Lagoon.
Right. So we get a single attraction of the Little Mermaid, where Tokyo, they get a whole indoor freaking
land
area
based on of the Little Mermaid. Yeah, it's weird. It's really strange. And OLC is a little different, you're right, because they kind of manage themselves. They pay Disney a licensing fee to kind of use their characters. So the decision making there is a little bit disconnected from Disney. I think. I mean, I think Disney has probably some say so in there, or they're part of the conversation at least. But yeah, for the most part, they kind of do their own thing. But even if you leave Tokyo out, all like Paris, which Disney fully owns now, you know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, they're doing stuff from the Renaissance era. We're not getting any of that. I mean, Lion King, like you said, would be perfect in Animal Kingdom. Like perfect. It's like that park is made for that franchise. It would be flawless in Animal Kingdom.
It would be. And you know, I just don't understand. I know that, again, you have to spread the wealth around a little bit, definitely, to the other international parks. I'm not saying neglect them, but it feels like our domestic parks are getting neglected by that factor. Because it's like, when you look at, I can't speak for Disneyland's Fantasyland, because other than the Fantasyland theater area over there, that's just atrocious. Like, I feel like that's just a waste of space. They could easily put a Beauty and the Beast dark ride in that space,
or Tangled, or anything,
or something. Yeah.
And I know people are going to get upset with that, because there's rumors we're getting rid of the Hyperion. They're pretty strong rumors that the Hyperion will go, and then, well, at least we'll go at the time of this recording. I'll say that. Okay. Right. But so if we do lose the Hyperion and then we lose the Fantasyland theater, I know a lot of entertainment people are going to be really upset, and I understand that. And I'm not opposed to like maybe them building another venue for these things, to be, you know, maybe build a Hyperion style theater in downtown Disney or something like that to house.
See, to me, I think that's where
it would belong.
I think that's where it would belong. Sort of kind of like how with Disney Springs, they have the Cirque du Soleil tent in Disney Springs, where you could have a full-fledged production. You know, I think that would do much better in downtown Disney than in the park, because in the park, you have to limit yourself to how much a show production you can have, because in a theme park, you have to have a fast pace.
I think people, I agree with you. I would put a Hyperion kind of style Broadway theater, assuming they could figure out the spacing stuff for it, in downtown Disney. Now, the only issue with putting it in downtown Disney is now that because when you put the Hyperion in a theme park, it's the price of admission is part of that. So you can walk up to the Hyperion and you go in. It's basically free. You paid for it already. You know what I'm saying? By paying for your ticket or your Magic Key.
Right.
You put it in downtown Disney. Now you're looking at probably a charge at the door to see this production.
But I will say though, people could be pissed off about it. But then that also goes back to the fact even of having Cirque du Soleil in Disney Springs. That's an upcharge. You have to pay for your seat. You know, you could either do it at the box office, like right there in person, or you could actually do it online where you could pick your seat just like a regular like concert venue. Um, so I could understand the gripe to that, but I think it would be more understandable because it's something that Disney has already done before. And I know Cirque du Soleil isn't owned by Disney, but it's still run on Disney property where, you know, Disney gets a little piece of that. But I think honestly, because that doesn't stop people from going to see a Disney on Broadway show, you know,
No.
in their own
Well,
hometown.
well, and then you can even go all out with it because Hyperion was a great theater, or is a great theater. I'm already talking about it in past tense, right?
Right. Well, in a sense, it's kind of true because the theater's been sitting stagnant for how long? I mean, they had like a short run of Rogers the Musical.
But that was last summer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was last summer.
It was last summer.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I mean, but if you built a theater in downtown Disney, you would get a proper lobby, not this outdoor queue stuff that you have over there at the Hyperion. You know, you can really make a Broadway theater. You know, yeah, they would charge you to pay to go in, but I don't know. I think it's a fair trade-off. And you open up some space inside the theme park. It's a win-win for everybody.
And there was a lot of talk too, excuse me, that if they were to put another show in the Hyperion, you know, rumors circulating around it was supposed to be Hercules. And they are getting a Hercules.
Our friend, by the way, Karik, King Daka, who is a great dude. We love King Daka. He's family here at OG55 for sure. But we got to get him back on the show, by the way.
We do. Yes,
we really do. But he would love a Hercules.
Oh, absolutely. I would say, I mean, he loves all Disney, you know, movies and IP, but so far right now, I think like Hercules is his goat. And then Wish for him, I think, is like a pretty close second.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was pretty hyped when Wish came out. So
yeah, but they're doing a Hercules, you know, Broadway style musical on the Disney Destiny that was also announced at D23. So, I mean, obviously, it's not going to be to the same caliber as if they have it in like a grand, like Broadway style theater that has like a set base location. But I mean, they still can do it if they wanted to.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's options out there, and I hope Disney explores it with if Pandora's moving into DCA in that area, and we are losing the Hyperion. I think there's options in regards to that. You know, look, entertainment is a big deal at Disney. It's a big part of the equation, but you don't necessarily need it in the theme park. Even you can have it in downtown Disney, and downtown Disney needs entertainment. It kind of needs that stuff. So it would kind of fix both issues. You free up some space in the theme park, but you also give downtown Disney a big thing that they really, really need, you know? And then you don't give up on entertainment in the parks. Absolutely not. I mean, you still have like your streetmosphere, as they call it, and you still have your nighttime spectaculars and what have you. But the big Broadway theater, you can definitely put that in downtown Disney or downtown Disney.
Downtown Disney,
as the Pennsylvanians say. So fascinating stuff.
But so what I was getting at was, so like the Fantasyland theater, you know, obviously can go for me. You know, I wouldn't bat an eyelash at that. But the whole entire, well, not the whole entire, let me say, the original Fantasyland for Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, I'm sorry, that should just be a downright sin that all these other parks, the international parks, are getting all this Renaissance IP, newly updated, change and everything. And the old Fantasyland in Magic Kingdom is a very kind of like old 1970s, 80s retro medieval carnival style look.
Well, they should have addressed this when New Fantasyland was built.
Yeah.
It should have been all New Fantasyland. Like, it wasn't New Fantasyland. It was a new section of Fantasyland. They needed to go in there and update that old, like, 1950s looking medieval area with like Peter Pan and Small World and what PhilharMagic is over there, I think, too. Mm-hmm. They should have updated all that like they did at Disneyland in the 80s. They took it all down and they redid it. You know, they should have finished it. Like, that's the problem with New Fantasyland. The stuff they did do looks fantastic. and it's executed very well, like the Dwarf Mine Train, what have you. But the rest of it is untouched. You have to finish the job.
Yeah, it really. So overall, what do you think is going on in like Disney's mind in WDI, that when they make these decisions, why they are so hesitant on utilizing Beauty and the Beast, on utilizing Aladdin, on utilizing The Lion King? Hell, I'll even say even utilizing Hercules, Mulan. Like these were still films part of the Renaissance era,
and they're popular. I don't understand the movies. These movies, like I said, the whole reason why the live action stuff has been successful for them, give or take. I know there's examples of flops, but for the most part, it's been lucrative for Disney. The only reason why they're lucrative is because of the nostalgia factor for the animated movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't understand it. If there's a market for it, so I really don't know. I don't have the answer to it, and because it's not just current Disney. Michael Eisner didn't even do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's mind-boggling to me. It was birthed in the Eisner era, and even Eisner didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, as you said, we get parades like for like the promotional standpoint.
Yeah, we got the Aladdin Caravan, the Lion King Celebration. We got all that stuff. We did, and they were great parade. Lion King Celebration to this day is one of Disney's best parades they've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible. But
and honestly too, I know we just did a recent video of reacting to Noble Way. Shout out to him, by the way. Where he suggested them doing like a Fantasy Springs kind of hotel attached to Fantasyland, which I think is great. I think that would be awesome. But for me, I feel like that you need to address and update the land that you're connecting this hotel to entice people to stay in this hotel before even doing that. And honestly, that big chunk of land where that hotel is supposedly were in his mind that they could potentially put, I would expand Fantasyland out even further and utilize the Renaissance IP.
You got to use that Renaissance IP. It's still very relevant in today's culture. You know what I'm saying? People love those movies. They love those IPs. You know, I think they still move a lot of merch. You know, you have Little Mermaid merch in the Emporium and on Main Street and stuff. I'm sure that stuff is moving like crazy.
Yeah.
If Beauty and the Beast, if that live action movie made $1 billion in 2017, people still like this franchise. So they got to figure something out. I hope we see more of these older IP. It is older, you know. Some of these, that Renaissance era now is we're pushing like 30 years old on some of those movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, they're it's up there, but it's still kind of modern though in a weird way. I don't know, but hopefully they address it. We'll see. We'll absolutely see. But the Italiano, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
It was funny. I did this because you said X, but I have no idea why I did this. Hey, I'm a Californian, but I don't know. That was weird, but okay. It just felt right at the time for some reason. But thank you so much for joining today, George. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hold on, we got...
Yeah. Oh, so y'all ain't gonna let nobody disrespect the West Coast, huh?
There we go. It just felt right now after that. But thank you all so much for joining us. Comment down below with all your thoughts on why the Renaissance era and certain IP is celebrated and utilized in the overseas parks. Why is it not so much over here in the U.S.? There are some examples like Aristocats, Marie the Kitty, is really popular in Japan. Not really a hot thing out here. I get that stuff, but Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, The Lion King, these are very popular IP still here in the U.S., but yet they don't have a lot of representation out here for that stuff, which is really, really weird. We would love to hear your theories down below. Thank you so much for watching this episode of OG 55.